Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Commission Corner. Today, with a new episode and a guest from Denmark. And this time it's Mikkel. Hello, Mikkel.
Hello.
How are you doing? Also, welcome from my side. I'm Gregor and co-hosting this podcast. Mikkel, you're joining us from where?
Yeah, I'm joining from Copenhagen in Denmark. Yeah, so the cold north.
Wonderful. And we will have some nice talks about commissions during this podcast. But before we dive into the let's say basic parts, can you give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you are currently doing?
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, so my name is Mikkel. I'm the head of RevOps here at Moxo. For those who don't know, Moxo is a Danish startup slash scale up from Copenhagen. We specialize in human risk management within cybersecurity. So, in other words, 95% of cybersecurity attacks happen because of a human error by employees, clicking links that they shouldn't be clicking, and otherwise. So we actually help companies with identifying weak links and within the organization, and then help train and educate all the employees in how to avoid, letting in, cybersecurity attacks and all this.
All right, understood. So I think in Germany there's a similar company doing this. I think they're called SoSafe. Maybe you have heard of them?
I've definitely heard of them. There's a lot of competitors out there, but yeah, it's we tackle them head on. There's a lot of competitors, but we trust in what we're doing, and it's a big market. And you would say, fortunately for Moxo and also our competitors, of course, but maybe unfortunate for the world is that this is a problem that's just gonna grow and grow.
Yeah.
Especially with the introduction of AI and all the other, how can you say it, all the other things happening in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
I guess especially with AI, there are some chances that it looks very, very real. And then you accidentally click on the link and then, you're busted.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah.
All right, then maybe let's dive into the topic of RevOps. Mikkel, what excites you about RevOps? Why did you choose RevOps as your career path?
Yeah, good question. So I think for many RevOps people or people working in RevOps, it kind of just happened in a way. The way it happened for me was I worked at my former company called Goodwings, which is another Copenhagen-based startup. I had experience with many things within sales and partnerships and marketing, customer success, many different go-to-market channels. And then we bought HubSpot. And I took that task upon me and to set this up and incorporate all our sales processes and all this, because I had a lot of knowledge in how we work in our go-to-market motions and all this. We quite soon realized that this was no easy task, and we this also involved like looking at the tech stack. How can we improve? Building a data structure, doing reporting, analysis, and this very, very quickly became my sole responsibility. Actually, for some of the things I really enjoy in RevOps, it's other than what I just mentioned, of course, it's the strategic aspects of RevOps. If you succeed in positioning RevOps in a strategic way, there's a ton of strategy involved with the role. If you position it, well in the company, so it's not only a firefighting organization or a firefighting team, but also a strategic driver. Enabling all the go-to-market channels. That's the key.
Yeah. Revenue operations intersects a lot of the departments within the company. We've talked to RevOps managers solely focusing on sales, others on sales and marketing, and then there are some also intersecting with finance. When looking on at revenue, maybe also for Moxo, if you can disclose it, what is currently like the main revenue stream that you are looking at in your position?
Yeah, sure. So we have, of course, direct sales, which is a big part. We have a lot of outbound motions going on, which we've been really focused on, smoothing the top funnel, both with the help of marketing, of course, positioning the brand in a good way, and getting the brand out there and getting leads that way, but also with outbound cold calling and sequencing and all this, right?
And what works the best for you? Is it like cold calling, or do you have like a very strong inbound motion? What's it looking like?
It's actually a good combination. One thing I did mention as well is that we're doing a lot of partnerships as well.
Mhm.
So we are partnering with resellers and distributors from all over Europe at the moment, actually, who are who their sole business model is to resell and distribute other products.
Mhm.
So that's also a huge revenue stream for us. Luckily, they see the idea of selling Moxo, and so that's also a big revenue stream for us.
So we had a look on your position strategic wise, and also just learned that maybe outbound motion is one of the key drivers when it comes to direct revenue. Can you dive a bit deeper into what your ideal customer profile looks like at Moxo? So what are the companies you are selling to?
Sure. The simple and short, maybe too short of an answer, is that every company that has a computer could be potentially be a Moxo client. But to narrow it a bit down, it's actually quite broad still, but it's within 50 and 5,000 employees typically, because you can have companies that are not mature enough to maybe prioritize cybersecurity. And maybe see it as a more like a nice to have, which in my opinion it never is, but they could potentially have bigger fish to fry, so to speak. And then they could be too mature. So you can have companies that are like, okay, we'll just build it internally, we'll throw €1 billion on that, and we'll build it ourselves. That's another way. Normally we like our key size of companies, ICP size of companies is mainly in the around 200, 300, 500 employees in that segment. But in terms of industries, there's no real industry that's better than others. Also, one thing is that that's because it's such a big thing in the world right now with cybersecurity and all these things. There's a lot of compliances and laws against, to helping companies focus on these things that they need to, apply for, right? Yeah.
And I guess the importance for the tool, the product that you're offering, is also something that Gregor and I heard of recently, because we met with a let's say a friend in Hamburg, and he told us he's like high in a software company that is based in Germany or in the DACH region, and they have been a victim of phishing attacks, and then the entire infrastructure was completely shut down for 3 days. And
Okay.
3 days without anything, I mean, I guess you could do the math, and probably is like a 6-figure loss of revenue, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah. So there's indeed, of course, a need for your software. And you also, Mikkel, you mentioned that you're heading the RevOps team at Moxo. So maybe you can tell us a bit about what does a typical week look like for you, and what is your current focus point?
Yeah. So right now it's there's a lot of hiring. I'm hiring for different positions in within RevOps here. Here at Moxo. We are growing super fast at the moment. Just to put it into perspective, I started at Moxo I think a bit more than a year ago, last August. I was hire number 8. Now we are 60, starting the 1st of November. So quite a steep increase in number of employees. And fortunately, we are also growing the RevOps team to ensure that we can help the go-to-market channels as much as possible. So in other words, I'm focused a lot on hiring, of course, aligning with the different go-to-market channels as well, go-to-market teams, making sure that we are all working towards the same goals, that we are all aligned on why we do things, why we don't do things, and kind of stay on the red thread on what we are trying to do, right?
And what was the major change that you discovered for your own role or for the revenue operations team when looking at such a growth when it comes to employees?
Yeah, so the first year here since I've been at Moxo has been kind of like the main focus has been the CRM and tech stack part. If you can, put it into like one pillar of like a strategic direction for RevOps. Now I'm building towards 3 other pillars, which is, making sure that Moxo is, a data-driven organization. So I'm hiring for RevOps to be ensuring that this is the case. We use a lot of data today, but I want to be improving as we go as well. Also, there's a big buzzword at the moment, other than cybersecurity, which is AI. So I'm also hiring a AI and go-to-market specialist who is gonna help us, be AI first, not only within our product but also in our go-to-market motions, and also become how to put it, like an internal champion of AI within the company. So yeah.
And I guess that's one of the toughest parts to find this, let's say, gem in the talent pool, because we've also talked to other RevOps people, especially in Germany, and they always tell us, hey, it's very hard to find the right person for this, because these people are very rare. Because AI, of course, is known to a lot of people out there, but really finding those people that are already familiar with all the tools out there like N8N, etc. I think this is a valuable player for the team that you could add.
I agree. Yeah, to your point, it's definitely something that's taking a lot of time for me, because I've been looking for quite a while, but still haven't succeeded yet. But hopefully soon.
So if anyone listening to this podcast might feel that he or she is the right person for this job, then you know how to contact Mikkel. Maybe one question also on the growth, Mikkel. You mentioned that one of the things that that happened was like growing very fast, and from our experience, one thing that always comes a little bit short is the data quality, keeping the data quality, because in the end, when you grow further, you really want to steer the company from a, say, bird perspective, or let's say with data. So how do you make sure that the data quality is at a degree that works for the company to also steer gradually every part of the machinery?
I think this is one of the areas where I've been a bit lucky. So the first part is, I just mentioned I was hire number 8 here at Moxo, which is quite early to hire at RevOps. So that was already a green flag for me prior to joining, because I think it's really good to have RevOps that early, so you are actually building the foundations on concrete rather than quicksand. So for myself, I when I worked at my previous job at Goodwings, I always had this in the back of my mind: if I had to start all over again, what would I do? And when I came into Moxo here, and I just had this plan locked and loaded, and I came into like a clean slate and have to build everything from scratch. So I kind of like had the template or the recipe, so to speak, within my head before joining. But of course, as you say as well, things always changes, and you always need to be adaptable. And one thing I think that helped me as well is that whenever I want to build something, I think something can benefit the company from automating or building workflows or whatnot, I also always think, is this scalable or not? Is this something that we will be able to use not only 6 months from now, but also a year, 2 years, 3 years? If yes, then I do it. But if it's a short-term thing that's not concrete but could potentially be quicksand, I don't do it. So that's some of the things that I think have helped us a lot with where we're at right now.
Maybe one question to just push a bit more on that pain of data cleaning, and also data completeness. How many mandatory fields do your sales reps need to fulfill by when logging a demo, for example? Is it like 15 fields I need to fill out, or are the sales reps trained enough to know what's the most important ones?
Yeah, so I think, of course, there's definitely some fields that they'll need to add. Things like handover notes to the AEs, just to make sure that they are well equipped to have as best a conversation as possible. So I would say they maybe have like 5 or 6 properties to fill in. But of course, the way I help with that is that I make it, first of all, required that they need to put it in so they can't, forget it. In RevOps, as you probably know as well, Murphy's Law is quite big, and it is at least big for me to know that whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So have to do like everything you can to ensure that it won't. So yeah, but there definitely still is some properties that need to fill in. So 5 or 6, I would say.
Do you also already use a note taker that populates fields automatically in HubSpot?
That's actually some of the things I'll be utilizing AI for, hopefully quite soon. It is to use call transcripts or meeting transcripts to, do property enrichment in HubSpot.
Yeah.
We do already have automated, what's it called? Transcripts for meetings and calls, added to notes and all this with next steps, but it's not within a property yet. That's where I want to get to. So right now it's just on a note on the object, like a company or the contact or the deal. But definitely the next step is to have those data points within an actual property that you can measure on.
Yeah. There's also something that we did right from the start, but I think there's a lot of differences in the value the note taker provides. So some are really good in already populating the fields, like for example, according to a certain sales methodology like band, spice, medic. And what I often see is, or what I often have to do is, I'm not pleased with the quality or the output that the note taker has. So I usually have to revise that and add it to my to a degree that it pleases me. What's your experience on this? What is the approach basically that you're following? Do you have like a note taker already that populates those fields, or is it something that is right now being worked on?
Actually, it's something that we will be working on quite soon in terms of enriching and filling in actual properties. Right now, the transcripts are only added to notes, but I do expect the same thing as you just described, that it'll probably not be a 10 out of 10 right away, but hopefully we'll get to that point over time, especially as AI is ever changing and forever gets better and all this. So my hope is that it will be somewhere near perfect, that you could hope in a not too distant future.
Yeah. And it was also interesting maybe to give you a bit of experience here. It's quite interesting for basically every note taker out there. You can set up custom templates like for the sales methodologies, and the output is quite odd sometimes. But if you would go to ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever, and just type in "analyze with medic," and then just paste in the transcript, the results are already astonishing. And that's
Nice.
That's sometimes why I don't get how difficult can it be for a note taker to really populate this fields properly.
Yeah.
All right, just a little side note here. So maybe also when we're talking about AI, what other use cases have you identified, Mikkel, for your team?
Yeah, we are using AI for things like signals in the top funnel. So we're using an example of a signal could be some of our customers. We have a stakeholder who recently changed positions and changed to another company. That could be a signal. Could also be that they liked a post on LinkedIn that a sales rep made or something like this. Also, as we just described, with analyzing calls, analyzing meetings, internal sales training. That's also some of the ways where we are utilizing AI for the time being. Yeah.
Very interesting, the part with the LinkedIn interactions. So a sales rep, for example, creates a post, then there are some interactions, some comments, etc. And you track those interactions.
Yes, we do.
How do you do that? That sounds very interesting.
Yeah. So we actually, this is back to our tech stack. We're using a really nice tool called Ample Market, but this is actually part of the product with signal-based leads where they have a host of different signals that we can utilize, right? So the general idea is that For example, if you're an SDR that logs into Ample Market, let's say it's Tuesday morning, there's 3 leads ready for them with a signal. And of course, then it will be up to the sales rep themselves if they want to, start the sequence or not. But that's just a really nice start to the day to have something to reach out to right away.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. I think when it comes to AI knowledge or AI competence, it sometimes really narrows down to knowing the tools that may work and the one that don't, because we are also experiencing much tool usages with high expectations, and in the end, it's not really as promising as thought. You also mentioned, Mikkel, that your goal is to become more of an AI expert also within the company, and I'm very interested in your framework of becoming that expert. Are you subscribing specific newsletters, or do you have any sources that you can share where you receive knowledge or tool updates so that any of our listeners can maybe adopt some parts of the framework, if there's any? Because obviously we do have so many information inflows. Sometimes it's just by consuming these information to get an expertise. But is there a framework for you?
Well, my hope is definitely to become the AI expert someday, but for the time being, I'm actually hoping that I'm hiring for this in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
For the AI and go-to-market specialist role. Hopefully over time, I will also know all the nuggets that you just asked for, with all the correct newsletters to follow and all these things. But for the time being, it's just normal things. I don't know, and I haven't found the golden nuggets yet, so to speak.
Yeah, nugget is a very interesting keyword. A little spoiler. So when the listeners are listening to this podcast, we will already have launched our first AI nugget episode, which will go live next week. So you know it already then, and maybe there are some interesting nuggets also for you from a head of revenue operations at a Italian startup. So maybe worth listening to. And Mikkel, one thing you mentioned is that you are currently growing extremely fast. And you mentioned that one key component for this growth is also the direct sales team. So maybe let's talk about commissions. How are you motivating and incentivizing the team currently?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we are very top funnel focused, and currently SDRs, the ones booking the meetings in, are commissioned by completed demos. So this basically just means that the prospect joined the meeting, and then they get their commission that way. There are edge cases where the AE can select that this was a poorly qualified meeting, and they will not get their commission. But that's like really edge cases with could be also like cancel meetings and no shows, and maybe other ways where the commission does not apply. Otherwise, it's for completed meetings.
And in that regard, when looking on a new pipeline generation, you also mentioned that you are establishing a partnership network. Is there then any referral bonus in place, or is it solely on mutual interest that you agree on these partnerships?
So the partners themselves, they of course also book meetings in. They only get commission for actually close won accounts. So nothing for having the initial conversation and for talking about Moxo. So it will in that case only be for closed won accounts.
So currently a lot of companies are already planning for 2026, and right now is budget phase at almost any company out there. Is there anything that you would like to change going forward in terms of commission plans for 2026?
Some of the things we have talked about internally is, of course, incentivizing people generally in companies is a huge thing. It's very important that they are incentivized, towards the company goals. And one thing, and this is not to sound like, we get a lot of demos. We have a lot of interest in the product. Now we actually need to narrow it down in terms of how many demos we let in, and we want to qualify more in another way, right? So we'll be even tougher with qualification before actually having them on a demo, and that's back to the commissions is maybe we are also changing the how we incentivize people with demos, so it's qualified demos and not just completed demos.
Yeah, I think that's a very important note that you just make, because on the one hand, quantity is important, but yeah, it's well known that quality wins when looking at demos and also customers. So also targeting your ICP or deal customers would be probably beneficial for commissions as well. When looking on the nitty-gritty part of compensation management, looking at Excel sheets or reports where data are flowing in, is there anything you can advise a fellow RevOps colleague of you to have a look at when managing sales compensations?
I think I'll go back to just the general thing in terms of it's very, very important that the how you incentivize is towards the company goals, where in our case it potentially leads to us having to change it. In terms of how we manage it today with calculating the commissions and all this, we basically have it in a report that just says how many completed demos did XYZ person have in a month, and that's pretty much it. But yeah.
All right. Taking a look at the time, this podcast episode comes slowly to an end. And what we usually like to do at the end of our podcast, Mikkel, is to play a game with our guests. And this topic, the game revolves around the topic of commissions. And it's a game where we give you two options, option A, option B, and you should just decide which one you're feeling comfortable with. And the idea is that you are now in the phase of rethinking the compensation plan for the team. And Gregor will start off with the first question.
Wonderful. Yeah, so when creating a brand new compensation scheme within your company or any company, doesn't have to be Moxo, would you put a higher emphasis on the fixed income, or would the variable pay maybe even be higher than the fixed pay?
I think I'd go with fixed potentially. Yeah, I think at least for simplification, for simplifying it. Of course, with variables and stuff, it can be a bit tougher to navigate around with and become more like, what's it called? More difficult for people to understand, which could cause other problems. And so potentially a fixed version would be preferable.
Mm-hmm. And when we take a look at the participation, so how does a rep earn, let's say, a commission? There are usually two parts. One is like a revenue share where you get X percentage on the deal value or key metric, ARR, MRR, whatsoever. And the other part is based on a target attainment. So would you rather go with, let's say, a deal participation or the target attainment?
Yeah, that's also a good one. I mean, I think I'd actually, if it was my own company, I'd potentially go for the deal participation, because you should see the SDRs and AEs as one team altogether, and that you're hopefully trying to book something in that will close for the AE as well, and not only think about getting the number of demos up. So potentially, the having like a revenue share of, or at least a slice of the cake of the new customer would be preferable.
All right. And would you then still work with a cliff, so a minimum target attainment that's needed to earn any commission, or would you work without any cliff?
Good one. I think I'd go with option A here, potentially. Yeah.
And then the final question, and I guess that this is where, it's the most important thing for a commission plan. Would you cap commissions or leave them uncapped?
Leave them uncapped. Yeah, I think that's the way to at least for me to go about it. I don't think it's sets the scene for, especially in sales where it's very performance based, and it seems a bit off to me to put a cap on it. Like, how are they then incentivized to do more than sort of more than 100%, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that sends the right message.
Is there any case where it can make sense, commission wise?
Potentially for, I mean, you could say if you're selling to, if you are, let's say you have a company where you are normally selling to smaller companies, but for whatever reason a huge enterprise comes in, and the commission would be, like insanely big. But even so, I would still, say just, clap the AE on the shoulder and say, really good job. You gave us something we haven't had before. And so I would actually go back and say, no, I don't think so.
All right, that's a good last sentence, good last word for this episode. Mikkel, it was a pleasure to have you, to get insights into how you're thinking RevOps, how you actually became a RevOps person. One thing that we encounter very often is, yeah, it just happened to me. But I guess that's natural, especially for all the European companies that adapt very quickly to RevOps, because what we've heard is that it came over from the US and is now a growing position within the European market. And we definitely like this trend because, as you mentioned, it also had a positive effect on the data quality for the company. And I guess right now, at the point where you are at with Moxo, it really makes sense to have high data quality. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. Mikkel, thanks so much for being here. And yeah, have a great afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.